Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 625 Hartkey Loop here in Oregon City. I describe everything as if you're standing in the street facing the front of the house. We are off to the right of the front door. It's right to the lattice work there. Your clean out, should you lose track of it, this is one of those fun ones that lines up absolutely perfect with the main roof vent. So it's about 16 paces in from the front right corner. You'll find it. It also lines up perfectly with the middle of the very first window you come to here to the right of the door. Dropping into a 3-inch cast iron cleanout. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's running. We're going to zero out the foot counter at the base of the cleanout once we get some cobwebs cleared off here. All right. To the belly of the beast we go. Bear with me a second. These 3-inch cast iron cleanouts can be a booger to get your camera to go into. Camera is upside down right now. All the stringy stuff, which right now is kind of at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, that's all cobwebs there. None of those are roots. And I'm pleased that we have cast iron out at this distance so far. It's a relatively uncommon thing for this era. Usually what you will have is cast iron out to 3 to 5 feet, and then it will transition to concrete pipe. All right, just swapped over to concrete there, 4-inch diameter concrete. We're going to revisit a spot there in the concrete as we come back in. There's another spot right there sticking off what looks like the pipe joint. There was a couple lumps of what looked like dirt sitting on the sidewalls of the pipe back towards the beginning of the concrete. And when it's at a pipe joint, sometimes it can be pipe grout, excess grout. If it's not a joint, it makes it a little more obvious that it's dirt. That's a concern regardless, whether it's at a joint or not. When you get something like that sticking off the sidewall of the pipe, is whether it's a joint or a crack in the pipe, we don't want dirt necessarily coming through it. It can lead to hydro erosion over time. That is the main concern with concrete pipe and why I was excited about the cast iron to begin with. Concrete just, once it gets old enough, the joints start to wear out, the grout wears out, and they can start to become exposed to the ground. And that's where you can get a slow but sure progression of settling. In a lot of cases, due to hydro erosion, the joints can start allowing dirt to seep into the pipe, which can erode the support out from underneath the sewer line and cause the line to slowly but surely settle. So anyway, we'll let the line drain out here for a moment. We'll reel back in here. We're also going to go locate the camera head just to verify where we terminated. We'll see how things are looking. As far as just plain old flow goes, line's flowing actually quite nicely all the way to the main. All right, located the camera head successfully. You'll see a green T marking out there in the middle of the road. Line makes a relatively straight run out to the street. The line, it does meander a little bit. It kind of zigs and zags. By the time the line straightens out and shoots off into the road, it's lined up pretty nicely with the front door. Still a little bit of water trickling off. Still just a little bit of water moving through the line. Have the water turned off now for a few minutes. I'm surprised there's anything still moving through there. I did flush a toilet though a moment ago too, and sometimes those flappers take a minute to completely close. I'm going to move kind of slow here in a couple spots just to watch to see if that water is still moving. It is still moving. Anyway, so a little substance coming off that joint there just in front of us at about 38 feet, 38 and a half feet, something like that. What I like to look for, because in a lot of cases it's very difficult to discern whether or not the substance coming off the joint is excess pipe grout or if it's dirt. So what I like to look for are secondary signs that make it quite obvious. Stuff like earthworms crawling around the line, water dripping through the pipe joints, things of that nature. Otherwise, it becomes kind of speculative. This was the spot here I was a little bit more concerned about, is that we do not have... Pull back a little bit. I don't know that we have an obvious pipe joint here. And my concern is that stuff on the side there. Could it be human waste? It's entirely possible. Somehow some debris got stuck to the sidewall of the pipe there. The other possible explanation for it is there are cracks or pinholes, holes in general, some kind of perforation to the line right there. Yeah, at the base of this one, it almost looks like there's a little bit of depth. I can see back into the pipe wall there, but it's really hard to say. You'd have to clean the line there, get all that scrubbed off the pipe wall to verify what that is exactly. But that kind of looks like dirt there. So I'm going to at least do this. I'm going to locate it. And as it sits right now, from a flow standpoint, not doing much to affect functionality, but there's a few spots here. We've got kind of strange random substance around the sidewall of the pipe, and it does look a bit like dirt. So everything could be completely intact. Sometimes you get human waste can go down lines. Things can get kind of stuck in certain spots. It's kind of an odd spot, though, for stuff like that to get hung up in the line. On an otherwise actually very clean sewer line, that's the other thing about it. Most of the line is very, very clean, and you have these random locations like that. So, and if you notice here, you've got multiple spots where that substance is at. Oh, is that a worm right there? That right there looks like we might have an earthworm, and that one might be going straight to the sidewall. What I was just going to say is sometimes you can get a running crack in some circumstances that runs down right where the water line, kind of the top end of the water line is at. That's kind of what that looks like there, and that does appear to be a little earthworm. Alright, so I pushed just past the transition joint to get out of that bend, which will throw the locate off. You got a little bit here too. Anyway, from a flow standpoint, not doing much to affect functionality. The concern is what that turns into over time. And the substance I'm seeing at the joints looks very similar to what we're seeing too. That one there, more than likely it is dirt starting to enter into the pipe there, because that looks exactly the same as the stuff we have back at the start, which is much easier to verify what it is, as it does appear we have an earthworm that is coming straight out of the pipe wall. So by the time you get to this point, I'm going to go locate really quick. All right, and by this point in the line, we're in the roadway about 3 feet off the curb. So, being that the line still has good slope and grade to it, you know, the line's got to do a couple things. It's got to convey sewage from A to B in a, you know, a reasonably effective manner, but the line also needs to be closed off to the ground. So, line has good flow, but it is not, I can't say it's a completely sealed off sewer line. It does look like we've got some exposure to the ground here. So, what I recommend in a circumstance like this, being that there is still good slope and grade throughout the concrete pipe, would be to look into something like an epoxy liner. In this circumstance, you probably have to do add a clean out in. A lot of times these days, the liner guys, especially a small 3-inch cast iron clean out like this, these are hard enough already to direct a camera through. It's another thing to direct lining equipment through it. So what they often do is dig a hole right before the concrete transition, add a clean out access right at that spot, and then shoot the liner in from there. Can't tell if that's a little bit of scale buildup. I'm kind of looking at the bottom left, or I'm sorry, bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. It's a hard spot to get a good view of it. A bit of what we're looking at there are cobwebs. I think it's just scale buildup right there. And the stringies right there, those are just cobwebs as well. So the cast iron pipe here all looks like it's held up. Anyway, that would be my suggestion, is you know, you can do the repair however you want to. I think the epoxy liner makes sense in this circumstance. Just because the line's got good slope and grade. That'll get the pipe sealed up. Sorry, I've got a bee chasing me around right now. Wondering why the camera keeps moving all over the place. That'll allow for you to do a almost entirely trenchless repair, but likely will require the addition of a clean out access right near where the transition to concrete is. I've got that all marked out with green paint. You're between about 6 foot 8 inches and about 7 feet deep. So I got something like 7 foot 3 inches deep there, right around the main lateral connection. So unfortunately, it's a little bit of a hole to dig there at the start. Everything else beyond that point can be done trenchless. And being that you've got dirt, it looks like it's coming to the line all the way into the roadway. There's no reason to piecemeal this thing out and do a spot repair or something like that on it. It's just time, if you're going to do any repairs on this, it's time to just do the full mill deal. And right now you can do most of it trenchlessly. That would be my suggestion. But as far as flow goes right now, the issues I'm mentioning are not affecting flow. They're not going to, the kind of thing that's going to cause a blockage, at least in the immediate. Over time, though, it can cause progressive settling. Also, the fact that dirt's coming in makes the line more exposed to things like roots coming into the line. So if not now, I would certainly be planning to do an update on this thing probably within the next 5 to 7 years, so you don't run the risk of settling or something like that ruining your ability to do a trenchless style repair. Cast iron pipe all appears to be intact, in very fair condition for its age, and it's quite a clean sewer line. Apart from some dirt coming through, the flow line, everything as far as sewer debris is related, the line is extremely clean.